Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff.
Yep.
Do you remember back when, for the first year of this podcast, whenever I would say the intro, I had to have it written down in front of me? It was like a big step when I could do it by memory.
Right, yeah. Didn't you have it written on a little piece of cardboard?
A little piece of cardboard, yeah. Because at my work, I didn't have anything to write on, but there were all these cardboard boxes, so I would tear off a piece. And
do you still have that piece of cardboard?
It's somewhere around here,
okay.
yeah.
Oh.
What I don't have, and I really wish I did, I had a similar piece of cardboard whereupon I had written the potential names for the podcast. I had a handful of names.
Sure.
And I don't remember all of the names, and I'm pretty sure it's been lost.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, you could frame that piece of cardboard.
I suppose I could. And then when we're rich and famous,
sure.
Once we've hit that Patreon goal of $100,000 a month and we've bought that sweet mystery house,
right? Yeah.
Then we can frame it and then we can sell it on eBay for $1 billion or something.
Right. Of course.
Anyway, how are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. If my voice sounds a little nautical today, it's because I am currently on a cruise.
Oh, okay.
Not really. As we record this, we're sitting, in my house where we usually record, but at the time that this goes out,
right,
I will be on vacation.
Yeah. So as you're listening to this, Gabe is
I'm
hopefully enjoying himself.
Hopefully. I'm sitting back on a beach somewhere, except not really because it's an Alaskan cruise. So I'll be on a boat and it will be cold.
Okay.
But hopefully I'll be enjoying myself.
You know, I feel like I would more enjoy a Alaskan cruise than a cruise in the Bahamas or something like. I don't like heat that much.
Yeah. My goal is to not get off the ship.
Sure.
And not do anything. I'm hoping to just relax, read some books, play some games on my Switch.
Well, you could do that here.
Well, I know, but there will be unlimited food, Jeff.
The
last cruise we went on, we've gone on.
That's a good point.
2 cruises, I think. I think we've gone on two. Yeah, I think we've gone on 2 cruises. And the last one, you could go up to the top deck. There was a guy that would make you a pizza on command all hours of the day. You could just go up and be like, make me a pizza, please. I would love a pizza with bacon. And then bam, 5 minutes later, you have a pizza with bacon on it.
Dang.
So good.
Yeah. See, those sort of things, like things like cruises and stuff like that, to me always feel like a little bit too expensive for what it is. Mm-hmm. But Gabe's ability to take advantage of
Gabe's wife's ability,
right,
to take advantage of. Go on.
What I'm saying food and stuff like that.
Sorry, I thought you meant. Never mind.
Well, no, but Gabe's advantage to take advantage of all you can eat
okay,
and
I misunderstood
free
where you were
refills
going with that,
and stuff like that. It's you wouldn't know by looking at Gabe, but he can put it away.
Yeah, I've purposely lost 20 pounds before this.
Preparation,
not just in preparation for being able to eat, but because I'm going on vacation, I wanna look better.
Right. Yeah. If you're gonna be late, sitting out on a cruise ship. Right. Yeah. I get you.
Because in my head,
you don't want to be that guy with the pot belly.
Sure. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to be walking around on a beach in a bathing suit. I keep forgetting, no, it's going to be 50 degrees.
Sure.
So I don't know.
That sounds like my kind of weather though. That's the kind of cruise I'd want to go on, is an Alaskan cruise.
I thought where you were going when you said taking advantage of stuff. We always get really good deals and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
If you subscribe to Groupon, you can get good deals on cruises. Cruises actually, if you are not super strict about where you want to go or when you want to do it, cruises can actually be pretty cheap. Mm-hmm. The reason that we went on a cruise 5 years ago. The reason we went on one then was because we found one that it would have been about as much money as it would be to stay in a hotel and go to restaurants for that amount of time.
Sure.
But we got to do all sorts of other stuff. We got unlimited food. There was just tons and tons and tons of stuff. So cruises are not as expensive as you might think.
Right. Yeah. It just depends on
If you want a specific day and a specific destination, then it's probably going to be expensive. It's probably going to be more than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, look into it. If you're willing to look a year in advance, you might be able to find cruises that are like super duper cheap.
Sure.
So, anyway.
Yeah, my grandparents used to go on cruises all the time.
Yeah, there are people that just live on cruise ships.
Right. Yeah,
that'd be really cool. So anyway, today's episode was brought to you by Carnival Cruise.
Oh God,
no, I don't even. I think the last cruise we went on was a Carnival Cruise, but not. I don't think this one is. Anyway, so how are you doing today, Jeff?
I was gonna make like a nautical joke, but I couldn't.
You're just going with the flow.
Yeah. There you go. I'm just cruising along.
Yeah. You're trying not to make waves.
Exactly. So, jeez,
just getting your feet wet.
All right. Okay.
Hi, Captain.
Do you want to get into this episode, Gabe?
Let's go for it. Go for it. Okay. Jeff, I want you to imagine that you are
on a cruise. No, go ahead.
You're fighting a dragon.
Oh, on a cruise. Okay. No,
sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're in a big ballroom on a cruise ship fighting a dragon.
Oh, man. I got to you got to do like balance checks every once in a while.
Sure. Well, hey, sorry. Actually, a little side note. If you are going to go on a cruise, bring Dramamine.
Oh, sure.
The first cruise we went on for our honeymoon, we didn't know to bring Dramamine. I was okay, but my wife was miserable the entire time.
Yeah, just like the seasickness,
even
motion sickness
if you don't notice it, it's still like it might just make you sick to your stomach. It might just make you less hungry. And of course, I judge everything by how hungry I am. No, just like it will affect your state of mind.
Sure.
If you just take a bunch of Dramamine with you.
Yeah.
Take it whenever you think you need to.
Yeah, but because you're on such a big ship, like you might not notice it.
Yeah, you might not notice it, but your body does.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are those like wristbands or something that supposedly stop motion sickness. No, don't. Those are. I don't think those are real. Just get Dramamine and take it. Anyway, sorry. So you're on a cruise ship fighting a dragon in the ballroom.
Okay.
And you see this dragon beginning to cast a spell.
Uh-oh.
Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Dang.
Okay. That's a natural 20, and that does not aid my...
because you were relying on,
I was relying on the many, many single-digit rolls that we make with this dice tower.
Yeah.
Okay, you succeed. However, Gabe is also in the fight. God damn, it's like a 17 or something. 13.
Well, which is an unlucky number.
Okay, it's an unlucky number, so Gabe fails.
The DC was 14.
Exactly. And so the dragon begins casting Otto's Irresistible Dance.
Oh, gosh.
But of course, you say to yourself, that doesn't allow a wisdom saving throw. It's irresistible for a reason. But then you realize he's also casting Suggestion. And do you know what the suggestion is that he is saying?
What's that?
As part of this spell? The suggestion is for you to grab your partner. Do-si-do, step right up and promenade to the dragon's horde. Because today's item was submitted by the Beverage Tea on Discord, and it is the Backless Chaps of Booty Scooty.
Booty Scooty?
Yes. These marvelously rare pink and green fringed leather wonders require attunement.
Goodness.
They can be decorated with stars, religious symbols, or magical runes. Once per short rest, the wearer can slap both hands upon the chaps and point finger guns at up to 10 creatures within a 30-foot area. Targeted creatures who can see the chap wearer must make a DC 15 wisdom save. If a creature fails the save, it begins to line dance alongside the chap wearer for 1 minute.
Oh, man.
A successful save, however, gives the creature advantage on any melee attack against the chap wearer.
Okay.
There is also an accompanying picture, which I will
post.
I will post as well. So yeah, a little bit better than the last item that the Beverage Tea submitted.
Which was what was that one?
The some piece of armor or something. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, the backless chaps of Booty Scooty. What are your thoughts on this item, Jeff?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's like mechanically, it's a pretty, decent item.
You can force a bunch of people to dance
for a minute.
But there is that downside. They do get advantage on attacking you if they make their save.
Yeah, I feel like it's fairly powerful. Up to 10 targets for a minute. You got them under your control. So, yeah, having a downside on there is actually not a, I think it helps this item.
Yeah, sure. I would actually say this isn't that powerful of an item. I mean, I would want a little bit of clarification on what it means for people to line dance with you, like whether they can take actions, reactions, like maybe can make attacks, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's like they have to like form an actual line.
Sure.
Which then could like set up for like a lightning bolt or something like that.
Oh, snap.
Oh, I like this item now.
Well, but would you be a part of the lightning bolt?
Well, you'd be on the end.
Oh, so because then you would you'd
be dancing on the end of the line, and then like while you got everybody in the line, you're like, okay, zap, like I'm all for this item.
Yeah. Okay. And then you could even reflavor this a little bit if you didn't want it to be backless chaps. You could have it be.
No, it has to be.
I was gonna say you could make the instead of line dancing, it could be like a conga dance.
Sure.
And then you have to move every round, but then they all follow your movement or something.
I like that.
So there's some ways to have fun with this.
Yeah. It's like they have to like use their reaction to follow you or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
That'd be fun. I like that. I like that actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Like being able to like set people up into like specific zones so you can use your spells more effectively or something like that.
Yeah. I thought of that because have you ever played the game Crypt of the Necrodancer?
Love that game. Yeah.
It's a good game. One of the bosses is King Konga, I think. And during the fight, all of the enemies are following around in a big line, and so that game has such good music. Is that the one where like you have to pause every like 8th beat or whatever?
It's like it's the only song in the game where they put a pause in it. It like throws you off.
Do you got anything else to say about this item? I mean, it's a pretty similar to the codpiece item. It is fairly simple.
I don't know, just any magic item that uses finger guns, like
sure.
Because there's the wasn't there the ring of finger guns?
Yeah, didn't we do that on the
like
Dragon Sword? I think we did.
We at least brought it up before, but sure. Yeah, it's just a ring where you can like shoot stuff with a finger
shoot like
gun.
One magic missile or something.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those were the backlist chaps of Booty Scooty submitted by the Beverage Tea on Discord. So thank you very much, Mr. The Beverage. Jeff, if anybody wanted to submit magic items for the Dragon's Hoard or stories for the Funeral Pyre or questions for us to discuss, how could they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord, which you could find at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
Yes. So you can join Mr. The Beverage on Discord, and you can submit stuff on there. You can also join in on the discussion, and
and the sillier the item, the more Gabe hates it, and the more I enjoy it. So
I'm just fuming over here. So all right. So before we go any further, Jeff, we have a giveaway.
Oh, we
today.
do. Oh,
yes,
all right.
So we are giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblin Stone. We haven't had a giveaway every week because we haven't been getting submissions much in a while. So if you're hearing this and you would like a copy of this great adventure, Chapel on the Cliffs, we'll get to how you can get a copy in a moment.
Spoilers, Gabe.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Come on.
But so we are giving away a copy of this today. So Jeff, who is our winner this week?
Our winner this week is Scott T.
Winner. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes. Congratulations, Scott T.
Not Scotty, but Scott T.
Not Scooty either, because Booty Scooty was the backless chaps we just discussed. Yes. So Scott T has won the copy of Chapel on the Cliffs. Chapel on the Cliffs is a low-level 5th edition D&D adventure. Jeff, you actually ran this not too long ago, right?
Yep. It's pretty cool. It's got well, I don't want to spoil too much, but
sure.
It involves a cursed village.
It's got some spooklies and some dooklies, if I'm not mistaken.
Many spooks and many dukes and many bing bongs.
Okay. All right. And so congratulations, Scott. You should be getting your copy in your email pretty soon, within the next week, I would imagine. If you haven't gotten it by the time a week has passed, let us know. We'll make sure we'll make sure, we've done everything on our end and make sure that gets to you. Be sure to check your spam folder because sometimes it gets caught in there.
Yeah.
So Jeff, if anybody else wanted to enter this drawing, as I sort of alluded to a moment ago, how could they do so?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com with Chapel on the Cliffs in the subject line.
Yes, it is that easy. That's all you have to do. We need some people to give this adventure to. So send us an email. And then if you do get a copy like Scott here, be sure to leave Goblin Stone a review. They're a great creator of content, and I'm sure they could use your feedback to help make better products in the future. And then I want to tell everybody that our show is brought to you by our wonderful patrons. Every month we have a monthly Roll20 game. We actually just did that yesterday, and that is for our top tier patrons, or lower tiers if we don't get enough top tier patrons. But we went through, there's an adventure supplement that I got called Lampslight Sanitarium, which it's mostly like information about this setting, this asylum, and then it has 2 adventures and a bunch of like hooks for further adventures that take place in this asylum. And so, Jeff, actually, you and a couple of our patrons went through part of this asylum yesterday.
Yeah, we were very suspicious.
The funny thing is, you didn't even actually get into the adventure,
right? Well,
because the thing that like starts the adventure, you guys didn't tell anybody about it, so nobody was like, "Hey, go do this thing, and we'll pay you for it," or whatever.
Right. Well, we wanted to get a lay of the situation before we go telling people about strange happenings.
Yeah, I guess. I don't blame you. It was neat to just see what we could do without having a goal. So that was a lot of fun. And that's one of the rewards for being a patron of ours. In addition to that, that's a reward for our top tier patrons. We've also got a monthly bonus podcast for one of the lower tiers, and then we've got outtakes. And I'm gonna start getting out my audio fantasy fiction pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
I was hoping to try to get the first one out before I went on vacation. As of this recording, I don't know if that's going to happen. But if not before my vacation, very soon after my vacation. I've gotten a few of them recorded. I just need to edit them and make them sound really good and everything. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, if you want to help out the show and get some cool rewards in return, you can join the Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/interpartyconflict. We've got some cool rewards on there, so check those out and see if anything appeals to you, and then see if you want to help out the show.
Awesome.
And then one last thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy at critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. They recently had an episode all about character motivations and ways that you can come up with good reasons why your character is going on an adventure. That's always something that I think a lot of parties lack.
Right, yeah.
And then D&D Character Lab, unless I am severely mistaken, in which case I will print a retraction or something, I believe that they have ended their show.
Okay.
By this point. So a couple days after we're recording this, I think, was scheduled to be their last episode. So in any case, you should go and still check them out. Check out their back catalog. They've got a ton of great episodes.
Oh, yeah.
On that show, Garen and Dan make characters every week and then pit them against each other and debate whose character is better. It's a great podcast.
Yeah. And
then also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. It's an actual play podcast on the network. They just started a new story arc a few months ago, and it's been great so far. So great podcast. They're great guys. Go check them out.
Yeah.
I think that's all for that. You want to go ahead and jump into some questions, Jeff?
Sure.
Cool.
Our first question comes from Yodaleya Hihu on Discord. How am I supposed to play a lawful good character in a party full of characters with either nefarious intentions or a lack of conviction?
Yes.
So the age-old...
the age-old chaotic neutral rogue and lawful good paladin,
right?
So on and so on.
Yeah.
We've talked about alignment in the past, and I feel it's worth a revisit every now and then. Just one thing that I want to say off the bat that I think, if you really understand it, will solve a lot of issues like this.
Okay.
Alignment does not force you to play your character a certain way. It does not force your character to do certain things. Alignment is a description, not a prescription, a description of your character's tendencies.
Sure.
A lawful good character sometimes lies.
Yeah.
A lawful good character sometimes breaks the law. A chaotic evil character sometimes does things that benefits other people.
Right.
Your alignment doesn't say you can't do this or that you have to do this.
Yeah.
It says you might be more likely to do this, or you might be more likely to justify doing something because of this.
Yeah. I mean, because me personally, I try to be nice and peaceful and calm and stuff like that. But sometimes I get angry and I'll chuck something across the room because I'm angry or something like that. But I wouldn't say I'm a bad person because I, get, lose my temper every now and then.
Sure.
So like, I'm more like on the neutral good side or whatever. And, but every once in a while I might get a little chaotic.
Yeah.
So,
and there's also arguments to be made, which we've discussed in the past about who exactly is it that is determining what your alignment is.
Sure.
If it is someone in the world, then that is very different than if it is one of the players or like just some sort of like, I don't know, meta entity that is determining, well, you are good because of this or so on and so on. So alignment is a tricky subject, but what I'm trying to say all this for is that whatever your alignment says does not change how your character has to act.
Right.
Just because you have a different alignment than somebody else does not mean that you have to disagree with that person. You might disagree with someone. You might agree for different reasons. You might think, okay, it's fine for us to do this for one reason, and then someone else will say, oh, it's fine for us to do this for a different reason. A lawful good character might say, yes, we should break into this house because we're trying to rescue someone that's trapped inside. And then the chaotic neutral person might say, yes, we should break into this house because I want to steal some stuff.
Right.
Just because you are different alignments doesn't mean that you have to disagree. It also doesn't mean that you have to be jerks to each other.
Sure.
I've had many friends over the years, many relatives over the years that if I were to assign an alignment to, I would feel we are diametrically opposed. But that doesn't mean that I can't work together with those people. It doesn't mean that I can't be friendly with those people at functions and so on.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes, I mean, the saying I actually kind of hate, but opposites attract sometimes.
Sure.
You can have someone that has very different views than you, and as long as you're not a jerk about it, which is not alignment related, being a jerk is separate from alignment. As long as you're not a jerk about it, you can still get along. You can still work together. You can still see eye to eye on some things.
Yeah.
You
can usually find some common ground that'll let you get through the adventure.
Sure. Like, not to really bring up any real world stuff, but like, I guarantee there are people in every religion in the world. There are people that I would say are the same alignment, but hate each other and disagree about absolutely everything.
Sure.
Different denominations of every religion will go to war over things despite the fact that they both feel that they are doing what is for the greater good.
Sure.
And so on. I mean, it's happened for as long as history.
Yeah.
So
as long as there's been two people.
Exactly. As long as there's been two people that disagree about something.
Right.
Exactly. So just blanket statement, alignment does not mean you can't work together with the rest of your group. Now, maybe we can talk about what are some ways that you should deal with that. Let's say you are in a group where your character thinks that something the rest of the party wants to do is bad, and then another character thinks that everything the party wants to do is good. So I guess let's go with the example of a lawful good paladin and a chaotic neutral rogue are in the party together, and then maybe the party's consensus is, hey, let's go and break into this building. And there isn't necessarily a good reason for each side to do it. How do you think that a lawful good character should deal with what they consider the rest of the party breaking the law or doing something that goes against their convictions?
Well, I mean, I see it going certain ways. Like there's a person who will play it like, well, then I'm gonna like they'll be the paladin that will try to physically stop them. Okay. They might even start like a PvP situation, because they want to make sure that the rogue doesn't go stealing from, innocent people or whatever.
Sure.
They might just say like, well, then I'm just going to stay outside, and then you split the party and stuff like that. Yeah. Which, I mean, we did talk about that not necessarily being a bad thing. I always feel like splitting the party is a bad thing just on a player side and a DM side because one, I'm a lazy DM.
Sure.
And two, I'm like, as the player, I'm always metagaming as much as I try not to. And it's like, no, we shouldn't split the party because then we'll die.
Yeah.
Like the encounters are built for a full party in most situations. But, if you're not a lazy DM, you can work around that.
Sure. Yeah, if you're willing to put more work into doing something for everybody, if the party does split up for something like this, if the paladin doesn't want to go break in the building and just hangs back, the DM could try to come up with something for the paladin to do while the rest of the party is busy as well. I think that probably the first step should be determining whether this is something that your character is 100% against or just doesn't want to be a part of. Because those are two very different things.
Sure.
Even if your character is strong in their convictions, that doesn't mean that your character has to be forcibly stopping everybody else from doing their convictions. Like, if I'm with some friends and some of them are like, hey, we're going to go to McDonald's. And let's say I hate McDonald's and I think nobody should shop it or nobody should get food from McDonald's.
Sure.
I can decide for myself whether I'm going to say, guys, don't go to McDonald's, go somewhere else instead.
Yeah.
Or I can say, okay, I hate McDonald's. I think McDonald's is terrible. You guys go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That is a decision that I'm making.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, there's nothing stopping you from like being in the car when they go get McDonald's and then you go somewhere else for yourself or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, like you can go along with it, but you can not participate, but still be going along.
Exactly. And again, that is a decision, and that's not a decision that is alignment based. That is just, if you decide how far you want to take that, then it's not just on your alignment. A lot of people use alignment as the excuse. My character's lawful good, so I'm not going to let you break into that house. Well, okay, but the chaotic neutral person could try and stop you from doing something, and that doesn't mean that they're not chaotic neutral, because it's not alignment based.
It's decision based.
It's decision based.
Yeah.
So if you decide for yourself that you are going to be the kind of person that forcibly stops the rest of the party from doing what they're doing, okay, I guess I'm not personally a fan of that type of character.
Yeah.
But, I guess you do you. Try not to make it an out of game problem. Try and keep it in character, in game. Out of character, talk with the rest of the players and say, hey, my character, I've decided my character isn't going to do this. Because again, it's not your character's decision. It is you, the player.
Right. Yeah.
You can say, I've decided I don't want my character to let you do this. So work with the other players. Say, is there a way that we can make this fun or something?
Yeah.
And work with the other players to find out what the best way is to handle this. Because I think a lot of the time it is an out of game issue. It's that the player doesn't like what the other players are doing, and so they're trying to take it out in game. That's not always the case.
Right, yeah,
but a lot of the time I feel it is. And, again, that's a decision. You can decide for yourself what makes the game fun for you. You can't decide what makes the game fun for other people. Yeah. So try not to decide to force your way of playing on other people,
And thinking about this from the other way around, so like as the rogue, like if you're going to be playing a rogue that's going to be doing stealing and stuff like that, do your best not to make it part of like the main adventure or something.
Try not to like hog the DM's time by being like, okay, I'm gonna pickpocket this guy. What do I get? I'm gonna pickpocket this guy.
Right.
No, we'll get to the adventure in a second. I'm gonna pickpocket this guy. I'm gonna go break into that thing. Like,
I mean, like, picking pockets, every once in a while isn't like a horrible thing. In fact, a lot of times that could, like, if you're like, oh, I'm going to pick this guy's pocket and see if I get a key to the back room or whatever that we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Like that can be helpful and fun. But if your goal is to just like basically like nickel and dime the DM, sort of like I'm going to try and get as many coins as I possibly can out of every one of these people's pockets in the inn. It's like, well, typically in an adventure, there's treasure. Like, you like, are you an adventurer or are you a thief?
Sure.
Are you a pickpocket?
And that actually brings us to a related issue that I think is relevant here. Whether you are the lawful good character or the chaotic neutral character or whatever, try and think, what benefit is going to come from this, and is it worth it?
Sure.
As a lawful good character, as the player might think, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of game time to help out this beggar on the street. Then I'm going to go and help out this other person. Then I'm going to go and help out this other person. Some of those are going to have a measurable benefit. Some of them aren't. Helping out the beggar might mean that later on when you want to find the bad guy or whatever, the beggar has heard something and he can tell it to you. Maybe that's a benefit that comes from helping out the beggar. Maybe helping out that other person doesn't provide any sort of a future benefit to you, but you enjoy doing it, so that's why you're doing it. Similarly, the rogue pickpocketing the people in the tavern, one of the people might provide a worthwhile benefit. Yeah, he's got like a gem in there that's worth like 500 gold, or he's got a key to something you could use in a future thing. That is a future benefit. Some of the characters you might be pickpocketing and they've got like 2 copper. Yeah. And that isn't going to make a difference, but you enjoy doing it, so that's why you're doing it.
Sure.
If you take aside the judgment of what people enjoy, the 2 characters are doing the exact same thing. Sometimes it's going to benefit the game, sometimes it isn't.
Right.
There was a time a long time ago when I was running a game and one of the players was a rogue. This was back when I was still kind of on the cusp of my terrible DM phase.
Okay.
And one of the players just kept stealing everything that was not nailed down. And the players were like in a little backwater town. There was like, everything was worthless to them, but the player still kept stealing. And it really annoyed me to the point where I decided next session, if he does it, I'm going to have the thing he steals end up like releasing a demon that was going to kill him or something. Luckily, the player didn't show up the next session, so that didn't happen. And I say luckily because that would have been real stupid for me to do. I should not have gotten that far.
Right.
I should turn the exact same critical eye on the lawful good character who stops and takes game time to help out every single person. Because again, that is just as selfish of an action for the player.
Right.
Because it's not helping any real person. It's helping a fictional character in a fictional game. But the player enjoys it. That's why they're doing it. Similarly, the chaotic neutral rogue is doing it because they enjoy it. Neither player is doing anything wrong. That's why you should really try to keep this stuff in-game rather. Don't bring the conflict out of game.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just doing what they find fun. So don't say one person's fun is more valid or more important than other people's fun. Unless it takes away from other players, but that is a more complicated issue. You know, try to set your judgments aside and just look at, why is this player doing this? Are they enjoying it? How much time is it taking? And is there an end goal? So if the characters disagree on something, it can still work as long as the game keeps moving. Yeah. If the paladin doesn't want to take part in the adventure, that's fine. But try not to slow down the game with it. If you do want the DM to do something separate for your character, that's fine too, as long as the game is still fun for everybody who is at the table.
Yeah.
You know.
Just like, yeah, trying to find ways, like if, again with the rogue thing, it's like if the rogue wants to steal and you're the lawful good paladin, but you want to like go on the adventure and, if you want to make sure that the adventure happens and you go and save the town or whatever.
Sure.
Like, I guess it's not technically lawful good, but you can say like, hey, there might be some cool stuff to steal in the place that we're going to go save this, sort of like try to sway the rogue into doing something that is ultimately good, by, luring him in with potential, bad things that they could be doing, I guess.
Sure.
There's
another, the last part of this question is, it's not just nefarious intentions, but also a lack of conviction.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a separate issue, related, but separate. If you are in a group where one of the characters just doesn't really care about what your character cares about, how much should you push those players or those characters to do what you want them to do? We kind of talked several episodes ago about when you're the only experienced person in the group. I personally, and I think you also said that we don't really like to always be the one that's running the party because we don't want everybody to just be doing what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. I know how to get through an adventure because I can see the signs that the DM puts out, oh, okay, we obviously need to do this next.
Right.
But I don't want to just say that because then as a player, I'm railroading the party.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that.
And yet you want other people, you want to give other players opportunities to find things that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like if someone just isn't interested, let's say in the example you just gave a moment ago, the paladin is trying to convince the rogue to like, hey, we should go save these people. And the rogue just doesn't really care.
Yeah, the rogue just wants to go pickpocket, peasants.
Sure.
It's like
how much should you push them to do what your character wants to do?
Right.
I think that there's a line between encouragement and like forcing someone to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You can encourage all you want, but don't like tell them they have to. I'm trying to think of how exactly to define the difference between those.
Because I feel like a lot of times obviously it's not about the gold because like they're like, all right, I pickpocket somebody. You're like, okay, they have 4 copper. Okay, I pickpocket the next person. All right, they have a silver on them.
Yeah.
And so, but they just keep doing it because they can.
Sure.
And that is the fun to them, So like it's sometimes it's hard. Like if that is the fun that they're having, it's hard to like convince them to do something else.
Yeah.
So it's like the fun that they're having is these little menial little pickpockets when the adventure is, waiting for them. It's written out and ready to go, but they, they'd rather play, they'd rather role play a pickpocket.
Sure.
So yeah, like I feel like it can be tricky when you have a player that just wants to do those sort of things and like it's sort of holding everybody else up.
Yeah. Since I know this question is from the perspective of the player who's playing the lawful good character.
Yeah.
I do still want to say, if you are one of the people who plays the, the person with nefarious intentions or lack of conviction or whatever, if you do just want to be the pickpocket or whatever, then the piece of advice I would give you is like, fine, but try to keep the game going.
Right.
Try to play along.
Mm-hmm.
If all you want to do is just have your character just hang out in the tavern and pickpocket people, well, okay, but make a character that will go along on the adventure. And then have in your own time, the DM can describe, oh yeah, your character is still picking pockets. He's still he's racked up 12 gold by now. Good job.
Like just the example of pickpockets like is so because like it's very cliche or whatever, like it's but it's because it can be such a distraction from anything else that's going on. Because one, it's like, okay, it's these little things that like don't really mean anything. It's just sort of like you're distracting the DM and making him make rolls and stuff like that. But two, because it's something that is like, oh yeah, it's basically going to be illegal everywhere.
Yeah.
So like there has to be repercussions.
Right. And that is a reason that I do often kind of like roll my eyes at pickpocketing and such, because if you get caught, then you're holding up the game even more because now your character goes to jail and then everybody else has to try to,
get you out.
Or wait for you to make another character who will invariably do the same thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, the adventure becomes, oh, what did he do now? You're taking hostage of the entire game doing that sort of thing. So like, I don't want to say don't play the game the way you want to play it, but you're also like, you're not playing a game anymore. You're just telling your own story.
Sure.
And that's not what this game is about.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
Both for pickpocketing, sometimes it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's necessary.
In the game last night, I tried doing a pickpocket for a specific reason, but I wasn't pickpocketing everybody. I was like, this guy might have a key. I'm gonna see if I can pickpocket him, and then it failed. But I was like, I just sort of played it off and like went on with the rest of the adventure.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, it took maybe 3 minutes of the game, so that wasn't a huge problem. But then there's also a time and a place for being the guy who always wants to help every sick and needy person.
Yes,
your character could similarly be like, hey guys, you guys go on the adventure. I'm just gonna sit here and keep making rolls to make a heal check on somebody, or try to. I'm gonna volunteer at this soup kitchen now. Because there was a soup kitchen in the town that we were in, and I just happened to walk by, and I'm a lawful good paladin, so I have to go in there and volunteer. And I mean, like, It feels like we're kind of making straw men here.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
But I've played with people who have done both of these things. So
right. No, these are real examples that like I
guarantee most groups have encountered a person like one of these.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not like inherently bad to want to do that sort of thing. Well, okay. So I think part of the problem I feel like is the way that D&D is presented to people, especially newer players, is you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want. You can be anything you want. You can just do whatever you want. It's like, yeah, you technically can. That is the fun of it. Like, it is a fantasy world. But that's not the game.
Yeah.
The game is you are getting together with a group of friends to tell a story. Like, it's more of an improv, you're kind of building off of each other sort of thing. Whereas when you go in there with the idea of like, oh, I can be anything I want. Sweet. I'm going to be the guy that goes around stealing stuff. That's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm totally not going to get caught. Shoot, I rolled low and I got caught. Well, I guess I'm going to try to escape jail. I'm totally not going to fail this one.
Yeah.
What's that?
There's no way this would actually happen, but I feel like D&D could use a little rebranding.
Sure. Yeah.
Where instead of saying it's the game where you can do everything you want, if they just kind of rephrased it as it's the game where there's rules for everything you want, then
well, just the word rules, I mean, like turns people away though.
But there are rules to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's a game where you play a hero going on an adventure and doing something exciting.
Yeah.
If what you're doing is not heroic, not exciting, not an adventure, then maybe you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Hey, every group can do whatever they want, but your end goal should be something heroic, something exciting, something adventurous.
Yeah.
Because
being a thief you can be a heroic thief, or you can, or at the very least, an adventurous thief.
Yeah. I don't mean to say altruistic.
Right, yeah.
But heroic as in like larger than life and so on.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's... I'm sure there's plenty of examples, but just like, like you can be somebody who wants to be a well-renowned thief or something.
Sure.
So like picking pockets isn't going to get you there. It might get you started or something. So like, you're like, okay, well, these guys want to go on this adventure and it is adjacent to this like lost treasure or something. Like, like it'd be like a Tomb Raider sort of situation.
Sure.
Like set... I feel like everybody, like you can set your goals higher, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm just harping on this.
I guess.
Pickpocket person.
I think we've said largely
sure
what we can on this. Just remember that your alignment does not dictate what you can do.
Right.
You're the player. You're making the decisions that the character is going to follow. Try to keep your disagreements in game. If it is an out of game thing, you should not be taking it out in game. You should work that out with the other players like a real person.
Yeah. Like characters don't have to work together in every situation, but the players do.
The players, exactly. The players definitely have to work together.
Yeah.
The characters,
the characters
do whatever is the most fun, but the players have to work together because everybody is sitting at the table, setting aside their time to have a good time.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So I don't know. Remind people of that is the answer.
I guess. I don't
know.
So just play the character, not a jerk. I guess. I don't mean that to say everyone is a jerk if they disagree.
Wasn't it was like it's not chaotic neutral, it's chaotic stupid.
Yeah, a lot of things are chaotic stupid or lawful stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
So don't be lawful stupid and don't be chaotic stupid.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Hope that helps. Our next question comes from Logan through email, and they ask, how do you feel about magic items that grow as the players do, and how would you implement such a mechanic?
Yeah. First question. I love it. I love the idea of magic items that grow as the players do.
I like it and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I have reasons not to like it. Well, because I equate this to video games too.
Okay.
Because there are plenty of games where like you do just have the one weapon.
Sure.
And it levels up as you do. You get like, crystals you put on it or something.
Yeah, sure.
That sort of thing. And then there are plenty of games where it's like, okay, like, I've been Borderlands 3 just came out. It's a like loot heavy game.
Yep.
Where it's like everything you kill drops like 3 or 4 different weapons, and you're like, okay, well, I just picked up this one weapon and I love it, but now I got 3 more to look at here. Okay, let me try this one. Oh, this one's pretty cool. Let me try this one. Oh, this is pretty cool. And like I do like that because you're like trying new things, and because the weapons, at least in that game, are like a lot of them are very unique.
Yeah.
And like the way that they shoot, the way that they reload, how quickly everything, all the different stats and stuff like that.
Yeah, it all factors into the overall experience.
Yeah, like, and it plays to your build and stuff like that. So you can find like magic items in an adventure that like play to your strengths really well. And like again, like the DM can like tailor that to you.
Yeah.
So like it is kind of nice having like, you know, coming across something new that you wouldn't have necessarily thought, like it'll play to a strength that you wouldn't necessarily have known that you had.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, you know what? I can use this in a really cool way. I mean, back to the Borderlands example, like I was like, I'm going to play my character this way, and I'm going to build towards this one thing, and it's going to be really awesome. And then I got an item that was like, you know, a completely different, it was based on a completely different build. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds better. Okay. I want to try that out. Cause I was like, I'm going to be like more of a ranged character, like kind of, shooting from afar and doing like status effect stuff on people. But this one was like, no, this is a melee character now. And I'm like, it is like, it's a really good melee. I love it. Oh my God. Like, so, you know, I completely changed my character based on just an item that I just kind of happened upon.
Okay.
So, you know, having something set from the beginning and it grows with you, like it is kind of fun to like, because I pre-build all of my characters up to level 20 whenever I make a character. So I'm like, okay, and I'm going to want an item that does this, and I'm going to want these stats boosted, and I want, I already have ideas of treasure I want for this, but like, if that DM throws something like just out of left field and I'm like, this is really interesting, you know what, that kind of works really well with this other thing I can do that I haven't done at all, you know?
Sure.
So I like both ways, you know, keeping the one item, I feel like can be kind of stagnant and boring.
Yeah. I guess let me amend what I said earlier. I actually wasn't thinking of magic weapons when I said I love them.
Sure.
Because I agree with you. I hate the trope of someone who they have their one weapon.
Mm-hmm. My father's sword.
My father's sword. I never use another sword. If my father's sword breaks, I just use a club until I can repair my father's sword, and then I use my father's sword once again for the rest of the campaign. Right. I hate that trope. I used to love that trope, and it's gotten played out by every single thing in the entire world.
Right.
I love the character that like, oh, cool, this is a different sword or a different weapon. I'm going to try out a Gisarm for a little while, or a longbow or something like that. I love games where I can swap out one weapon for a completely different weapon and have a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking more about other items, but even the more I think about that, the more I kind of like what you're saying about you can just get a new item that you might not have thought would have a place in your loadout, and then it completely changes your play style, and then you like that more.
Yeah.
So I guess the more I think about it, the more I like that.
Yeah. Like there was I don't know if it was 3rd edition or 3.5. Either way.
Weapons of Legacy.
Weapons of Legacy.
That's 3.5, yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing that and thinking it was like super duper cool, but then like I remember looking into like the actual mechanics of it, and it was a little like,
well,
it felt a little weird.
I didn't like the mechanics of how they did it. The way that they did it was you get a magic item, and in fact, you could even have a normal item that then becomes a legacy item.
Sure.
Where if you use it to like, you score a natural 20 when everybody else has been dropped to 0, and you manage to score the last killing blow on that dragon or whatever, then the weapon gains a little bit of magic power from this powerful creature you killed, and then becomes a legacy item. And the legacy item, the way that they work is it automatically gains abilities so that you will keep in power with the power level you should be at that level. So like when you're, level 10, you should have a plus whatever item or whatever. So it gains automatic abilities as you level up. However, every like 8 levels or something, you would have to perform a ritual or go on a pilgrimage that costs the same amount of money as if you had just bought a magic item of the appropriate level, and the money you're spending is presumably spent on reagents for this ritual and supplies for that pilgrimage and research and so on. So in the end, you are no more powerful than anybody else. You just had to take a bunch of extra steps to get that power.
Sure, yeah.
Thematically, it's the same weapon you've had this whole campaign, but mechanically, it's exactly as if you just tossed it away and bought a new magic item.
Which is something you could you don't need a book to tell you to do that, you know? Like, that's a way to do it. Like, if somebody wants to do My Father's Sword, let them and just be like, oh, you find, you find a +1 sword and
transfer the enchantment to whatever.
Yeah, you give them some way to do that. Like it's a an effect of the sword itself or something like that it can absorb that or whatever, or even, like, and if they wanted a specific way, you could do that, or you could do like, I'm trying to think of a way to have it both ways.
Well, so the way that I would implement it is I would not. So the reason that Weapons of Legacy did what they did, where you have to spend X amount of money every few levels, is because they didn't want this option to be more powerful than other options. Yeah. I can understand that from a game development standpoint. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think something like this should have discrete rules, because I think that kind of defeats the whole purpose. It's supposed to be something unique. It's supposed to be something core to your character.
Yeah.
If I were to implement it, I would do something like what I did for Shadowhand Silverbones in the Age of Worms.
Yeah.
We established early on that his axe loved to eat things.
Yeah.
He made it magical, and it had a little magical, like a line of runes that looked like a mouth with a little tongue sticking out on the edge of his axe. And then when the player was like, hey, Gabe, I want my axe to be adamantine, but thematically, I want it to be the same axe. I don't want my character to throw away his axe and buy a new one.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, you pay someone a bunch of money to upgrade your axe. They go out for lunch. They set your axe down on this stack of adamantine. And when they came back, it has eaten a chunk out of the adamantine and now has an adamantine milk mustache on the edge. And that's why it's able to overcome adamantine damage reduction. And then later on, the axe was used on him. An enemy grabbed it and attacked him with it, and it loved the taste of all of his magical buffs. So at a later time, the axe tried to eat him, and instead he, quote unquote, accidentally stabbed it into this like this taxidermied platinum dragon head, at which point it devoured the platinum dragon head and gained the power to become a platinum dragon axe.
Right.
So at every step of the way, it was part of the story that gave him this power. Mm-hmm. Now, 5th edition D&D especially has fewer rules on what power level you should be at various levels, how much money you should have at various levels, and so on. That's why in 3.5, I think that Weapons of Legacy was a good idea, but misguided execution, because they wanted to give you this cool thing, but they were so tied to making it balanced. I'm all for balance. However, when you're doing something like this, it doesn't have to be... It works better in a system like 5th edition that has fewer rules on the balance of magic items.
Yeah.
So in 5th edition, I think it would make a lot of sense to just give this to a player when the story calls for it.
Right.
If there is a way that maybe if you do feel the player is getting a bit too powerful, have there be drawbacks as well as benefits. Because then the player does have the question of, do I want to use this item all the time? Or just some of the time, because those drawbacks are pretty hefty.
Sure.
In which case, then you can give them a second weapon, and then they've got their boss-killing weapon, which is the one they've had the whole campaign, but not their other one, because it gives them a penalty to adventuring or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So if you feel it is getting too powerful, which might happen, I tend to go overboard when I'm giving characters items like this, then feel free to give it drawbacks, but have it be story-based rather than necessarily like... money based,
because I like the My Father's Sword thing to a point, like, but like you said, it's very overused.
It's such a common trope.
But I also like the character that has like a tool for every job sort of thing. I love
that too. Yeah.
Going back to the Age of Worms campaign, my character had a few different weapons, I feel like, and like eventually I had like the legacy weapon sort of thing that could turn into different types of weapons. So, but like for a while I had a rapier that I sometimes use. Yeah. But then I also had a greatsword
Okay.
I would just pull out the greatsword every once in a while when I just would decided I wanted to do.
I feel like we were always surprised that you had a greatsword.
Right, yeah. Like I remember Steve asking me like, "What's the deal with the greatsword?" And I'm like, "I just want it." Yeah. Like I just wanted to have this like I did better with the rapier, but because the greatsword was two-handed, and I could like I guess power attack with it or something. I don't know. I can't remember if I had power attack through the character. Maybe. If that was a weird character.
Yeah, he really was.
But I was like, you know what? I feel like doing a little bit more damage this time. I'd be like, my character's kind of angry right now, so he's going to use this greatsword. And there was no like, I wasn't like using a special ability or anything. I was just like, I'm just going to use a greatsword right now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing right now. So like, I kind of liked having that sort of like extra thing. I was like, I had my father's rapier, but then I also had this like sword that I was like, no, I'm going to use this instead.
Sure. In regards to non-magic or non-weapons, rather for magic items that grow with you, I think that if you are going to give someone a magic item that grows with them, try to give it like a lot of different abilities. Don't have it have like several abilities that are all very similar. Don't have it like, oh, it can cast Fireball and Flame Strike and whatever. Have it be like, okay, it can cast Fireball once per day, twice per day it can cast Comprehend Languages, and then like once per week it can cast Plane Shift or something.
Yeah.
Like, maybe along a theme, but if you are going to give something that you want the player to keep for a long time, then try to give it a wide array of abilities so that they don't just have the one trick in their arsenal, they've got several.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the more like the different situations that they can use it in, the better too. Because again, like you said, like if it's a sword that can cast Lightning Bolt or Fireball or Scorching Ray or something like that, like you can only use one of those per turn.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So it's like you're gonna find the one that does the best, and you're gonna stick to that. But if it is like, okay, this sword can give me Comprehend Languages. Okay. I'm gonna use that a lot.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you use that all the time?
Yeah, I had as Ichi, I had a sword that could shoot a sonic lightning bolt once per day, and I could use Dimension Door like at will or something.
Oh dang!
And that's so bizarre, but that's awesome. The idea of like a belt of giant strength that as you level up just gets more powerful.
Sure.
So boring to me. Like, yes, I see the utility. That would be very useful, but real boring. That I don't think that needs to be a legacy item. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That feels just more like like that character just wants to have the high strength or something.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know. It feels more like a 4th edition. Like you need this to like this is your way of leveling up sort of thing.
It really does,
and not a like. It's not like a reward for achieving something or finishing an adventure. It's more just like, okay, you're getting stronger because the game needs it.
Yeah, the enemies are going to have higher AC, so we'll give you another +2 to attack.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so I would shy away from stuff like that. But if you do want to give the player something that does improve as they level up, I am generally in favor of it. But try to have it be story based and not necessarily like money based. Also, have there be drawbacks.
Yeah.
Feel free to have growth not just be in one single direction. Have there be advantages and disadvantages and so on, because you do want the player to still keep an eye out for other options for when they need the right tool for the right job.
Right, yeah.
All right, well, I think that'll do it for our regular questions for today, but we do still have our social media questions. So last week's social media question was, if you got to design a new character class, what would you make?
I think we talked about making like a summoner class.
Summoner,
or something like
definitely,
that.
Yeah. Beyond that, I don't. I think I wanted like a World of Warcraft warlock, basically.
Right? Yeah,
a character that has like a demon pet.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. We got some good responses on Facebook. Craig H says, I would make an absorber. I would base it off of a character from the book series I love called Superpowereds.
Ooh.
So like someone that steals abilities.
Yeah.
I think I feel like there's been one class ever. Two classes ever that have done that. One was the Spell Thief, I think, from
Sure.
Complete Mage. or something.
And maybe like complete adventure,
maybe. And then there was that mind flayer prestige class,
the Illithid Savant.
Yeah. Dan W says, this post made me sad as I clearly have no original thoughts. Have a great show.
Oh,
sorry, Dan.
Oh no.
Peter K says, a martial arts fighter that has special elemental attacks, not unlike the Battle Master. So not a Way of the Four Elements monk, but someone that has like battle maneuvers that are elemental, I think is what they're saying. That could be interesting. Jeff R says, plague doctor with disease or infection mechanics that works primarily with support and debuff or damage over time.
I like that.
That's pretty cool. I love stuff with support and with buffs and debuffs.
Yeah.
I think could be really cool. Especially if it's not spell based. If it's like, I mean, I guess Bard kind of does that, but I don't know.
This sounds more like it's more like an alchemy sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah. Brandon B says, fighter with social skills. Okay.
Sure.
And Colin W says, bombardier. So
bombardier, or is it
throws bombs
or bombardier?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I think I would always say it bombardier.
Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. Listeners, tell us which one is correct.
Like instead of a musketeer, it's a bombardier. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. Over on Reddit, Pruno says, I know everyone complains about grappling and rules. Heck yeah, they do. Pointing right here at this person.
Wait, I think they want like a grappler.
But I wouldn't mind perhaps even having a monk subclass that supports a wrestler or luchador. Perhaps combine the grappler and tavern brawler feats built in. Maybe rules for throwing creatures based on size, a strength-based monk. If a standalone class based on strength and charisma could be multi-classed by paladin. Okay. I can understand that. I almost feel like it would be better not as a monk, because monks, there's a lot of like supernatural stuff that comes with it.
That's true.
I would like the idea of a charisma-based fighter.
Sure.
Like non-magic charisma-based fighter could be really cool.
Yeah, I feel like fighter, that would work with fighter.
Crit Academy did a supplement they made, I think it was the Barbarian Path of the Brawler.
Yeah, I think so.
And that is, it's not quite what Pruno is talking about, but it's a barbarian that is all about grappling.
Sure, yeah.
It's not necessarily luchador, but maybe take a look at that as a step in that kind of direction.
Right, yeah.
We got a few on Twitter. Jeff S says, for 5e, bring back psionics. We could use another intelligence-based spellcaster without homebrew.
Sure.
To which Crit Academy replied, winky face, working on it.
So they got something in the works.
Stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah.
Yodeleahihu says, I'm currently working on a Force Wielder class with various Jedi and Sith subclasses. I feel the complete flavor of Force Wielders is pretty hard to capture. Yes, I know there's a Star Wars tabletop RPG, but I'm not a fan of the mechanics. I want to see if I can make the Force work in 5th edition.
Sure. Yeah, that's okay. I think we talked about like trying to make a lightsaber in
I'm pretty sure that's come up a couple times. Yeah.
Like what is your idea of a lightsaber in D&D or something like that?
And everybody loves different things about the lightsaber, so they're all going to focus on different things if everybody's making their own thing. Little Lou DM on Twitter says, it's difficult to invent a totally new class. And we knew this going in. I thought about trying to get everybody to keep it short because I expected a lot of long responses, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. Most ideas I have could probably become subclasses, such as the Chronomancer, a wizard subclass, or Blink Assassin, rogue subclass. The closest thing I could think would be a pacifist class, a spellcasting class that has very few, if any, damage-dealing spells. Instead, it focuses on charm, domination, and maybe a few homebrew spells that could be used creatively. It relies on the player being super inventive, but I think it'd be fun, though maybe not long-term.
Sure.
In 3.5, I think it was in Complete Arcane or Complete Mage, they had the Beguiler.
Yeah, the Beguiler.
Which was a class that was all about mind control. It was all about charm. It was about dominate. Yeah. And you could even have like a semi-permanent thrall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So kind of like that.
Yeah.
Fjord Tough on Twitter says, I would love to see a chef Support like a bard, uses food for inspiration.
Yes.
Maybe heals and buff debuff with food too. Sneaky like a rogue, poisoning food, or they let you go anywhere if you have a uniform and snacks.
That's how I was playing the last time I played a bard. I played it off like instead of music, it was cooking.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you could just flavor it that way, get it flavor. But no, I do like the idea of a like chef class.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And I can tell you, because I am currently on a boat, I can tell you that food is the ultimate support.
Right. Yes.
Right. And then we got a few over on Discord. I don't know if I'll read all of them, but Xanatos says, I read this out loud and my friend yells across the room, Eldritch Knight that doesn't suck.
Aw.
Okay. I feel you.
There's aspects of the Eldritch Knight that I like.
Yeah.
It has a better soul weapon than the Warlock does, I feel like.
Okay.
Because like the Eldritch Knight, I think, can have up to 2 things. Maybe I'm thinking that wrong. But basically, like, they can summon their weapon as a bonus action from anywhere.
Okay.
Whereas the Warlock one, like it's one of the 3 bonds or whatever you can pick.
Yeah.
It's a full action.
It's not for the Eldritch Knight?
It's a bonus action for the Eldritch Knight, but for the Warlock, it's a full action to summon your weapon or whatever.
Sure.
So it's like, well, dang.
Yeah. Lone Revenant says, I would say an arcane half-caster would be absolutely brilliant, although I think an easy, quote-unquote, way to patch the Eldritch Knight, especially considering the power of a paladin, is to make the Eldritch Knight a half-caster, so a full caster. Perhaps they could have an arcane half-caster that has a subclass for each arcane class. A subclass for a wizard-feeling half-caster, a bard-feeling half-caster, a sorcerer-feeling half-caster, maybe even a warlock-feeling half-caster, although a warlock might be difficult to work out.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to approach it. Jason says, I want a non-Eastern inspired, unarmed fighter class. Like instead of a monk, a boxer or pugilist who doesn't dodge attacks so much as absorb them and endure like Rocky. Although, yes, Eldritch Knight, but good. Pathfinder did this. Pathfinder did this with the Magus class, which is pretty good. And I don't remember exactly what it is the Magus does, but back when I did play Pathfinder, the Magus had just come out, and that's all anybody could talk about was how it was a better Eldritch Knight than the Eldritch Knight.
Sure.
So, Damien the DM says, Shaman. I've actually had tabs open on my phone for literally months doing some research into the Shaman from Pathfinder and some other inspiration, but actually designing it has never happened.
Sure. But yeah, no, that's a good idea. Or like, remember the Wu Gen?
Yeah, I liked the Wu Gen, but it was basically just a weaker wizard. It was a wizard with less support from the developers because the wizard got support every time a book came out.
Right.
The Wu Gen really only had that one book.
That's true. Like, but it had some there was a few wacky spells.
There were a few things that it did that were really cool.
Yeah.
But like overall, it was just kind of like you could just take a wizard and just reflavor it as a Wu Gen and it would be better.
Right. But yeah, something like a shaman or like witch sort of thing. I don't know, like more primal magic than like your standard arcane magic, I guess.
Yeah, just less traditional spellcasters, I think could be pretty neat.
Yeah.
The Beverage Tea says something along the lines of an expert mounted bowman. I have tried to create something inspired by Mongolian or Apache horsemen, but it always comes out junk with the current classes.
Yeah, I always like playing the Mongolians in like Age of Empires because of the mounted archers.
Yeah. Peaceroy Pancakes says, I think they are playtesting the Artificer right now, which I'm excited about, but I'd also be interested in a more Tinkerer class that's less focused on magic as science and more in the pure mechanical side of inventions. I hope that if they release an official Artificer, there will be a subclass for that. So like less magical and more just like mechanically building things.
I'm trying to think because I've read into the Artificer a lot. I don't know what their final changes have been on it, but like, yeah, I feel like it is more like it feels a little bit more magic based than like sciencey technology based, but it's still pretty cool. You can always flavor stuff.
Okay. And then one last one. Floofy Shoob says, a buddy of mine combined Alchemist and a Healer class in an old Pathfinder campaign until our summoner was able to take over healing duties. It wasn't too bad. Something I'd liken to, say, an Apothecary.
Okay.
So, okay. I've actually really wanted for a long time, I've wanted some sort of like a doctor class. I've thought about trying to make a rogue that had like a doctor profession in that they knew all about anatomy and they were really good at like medicine.
Sure, yeah.
And that's why they were able to, strike at a weak point, because they know, that's right there's where that organ is. That organ isn't there anymore.
And like, crafting healing salves and poisons. Sure, you can use the same tools basically. So
the difference between medicine and poison is dosage.
Sure. Yeah. So
so those were our those were our responses to this week's question. Next week's question is, have you ever ran or played in a nautical themed campaign?
Oh, right.
How did it go? Because I am currently on a boat.
Gabe's on a boat right now.
It's going to be awesome. Maybe I'll post some pictures or something. I don't know. We'll see.
I remember we barely started I think it was an Eberron campaign that had some, I think we were going onto a ship or something.
It was an airship, but we wanted it to feel like we were pirates.
Sure.
We wanted it to feel like a nautical campaign, but we were going to be in the sky rather than just in the water.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I've always wanted to run a campaign that's like islands.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like in my mind I was like, I want to do something like that's like planet hopping or something like that. But I feel like that can get a little out of control as far as like you have to do like plane hopping stuff and like planar stuff, and it gets a little too close to like sci-fi.
Sure.
So it's like, well, like going from island to island and stuff like that. You like there's an adventure on each island, or at the very least there's treasure on each island or something like that.
Yeah, I think we wanted to be able to every adventure would be we're showing up in a new place.
Yeah.
What goes on there?
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh yeah, we're just hanging out in our base. People show up at our house and we're like, oh, hey, give us an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can definitely remember that. I think that's the closest I've come to running a nautical campaign. But I'm curious to see what our listeners have done. So that'll do it for our questions for this week. So before we close out, let's relax. Let's imagine ourselves on a cruise, eating lots of food, as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. This week's funeral pyre was submitted by Edward T. via email, and the story is as follows. A handsome, wealthy elf whose name is lost to history was the cock of the walk. He had a massive family fortune, good looks, the best trainers, and the finest maidens. He set out on an adventure just because he could. Early on in one of his adventures, he was felled by his own hubris and arrogance. The merciful deity, some called him the Master of Dungeons, took pity on the elf, but at a cost. He was reincarnated as an orc. This destroyed his identity as the stud of the elven lands, even though his heart was true. And he developed a drinking problem as a coping mechanism for the life he lost. Eventually, he returned to his former self, but not without great cost. He got to live the rest of his days, but with the lesson he learned about being overconfident and entitled.
I like that as a solution to like level 1 oopsies.
Okay.
Because like it's just like you get like first adventure, like everyone's got such little hit points, and there's not a whole lot you can do about people going down. Like not everybody's gonna have, like you only have so many healing potions or whatever.
Sure.
So it's like you run the risk at somebody dying at earlier levels. So it's like, okay, your character could come back, but he's an orc now. It's like you could keep your same character sheet, just cross off elf.
Yeah.
Put orc instead.
Yeah.
Like even maybe go as nice as saying like, you got the same stats, don't worry about it. Just you're an orc now, you got to play it as that.
There you go. All right. Well, let's raise a glass in memory of this elf whose name was lost to time, whose predicament reminds us that alcohol is the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. Clink.
Always drink responsibly.
Absolutely. We say as we clink our glasses. What's in these glasses, Jeff?
You know what? I don't know. It's starting to smell.
Yeah, we've never drank any of it because we have to just clink the glasses.
Yeah, we don't drink this mysterious liquid. It's just, it's gone stagnant, I think. Yep. Something growing in mine.
All right, well, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yeah, and you've been streaming Borderlands 3, correct?
Yeah, we streamed on release night. Had a few technical difficulties because the game was crashing for me a lot. I think it's got some performance issues that they're working through, but I've basically just turning down all the settings for right now seems to be helping me.
Sure.
Which doesn't make sense. My computer is more than capable of running things at max settings or whatever, but it's just an optimization thing. So, but I plan on doing some more streaming with that. So there's actually some integrated streaming functions in the game.
Oh yeah.
Where I have to set it up with my Twitch channel, but I don't know exactly how it works, but there'll be super powerful enemies that show up that are named after the viewers.
Oh, that's really cool.
And then there's some other things where viewers can have rare chests up here. Mm-hmm. And then I think if they also are playing the game, they can somehow get the items that I find.
Oh.
So if I find a rare legend or a legendary item or something like that, they can basically get a copy of that item in their game somehow. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it sounds interesting, and I'm gonna look into it and start streaming with it because that sounds fun.
That's really cool. Well, speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show, what you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time...
I'm feeling a little seasick.
Oh, yeah. Not me, because I got Dramamine.
All right.